begun, we have focused largely on working out all the problem areas dealing with the teacher licensure. That has been the primary focus. And I think what we're realizing is that other licensure areas have equal and as important issues in them. And the desire of the department is not to create problems. We're just trying to recognize when these issues surface for us and we realize that there are compliance issues, we just feel the need to bring them to this commission with due diligence. And I feel somewhat bad that I feel like I'm dropping a bomb in the middle of Pepsi, and I just want folks to recognize that this is not out of a desire to create conflict or drama, but just the recognition that all of our license areas and this includes instructional support personnel, may have these compliance issues embedded in them that we just have not surfaced yet.
Thank you, Dr. Tomlin. Any other comments?
Dr. Tomlin, can you just finish the last couple slides?
I can finish. Hopefully this is not as controversial as what has been presented up to this point. We do have some licensure area updates that we're recommending a policy change. And this is in relation to the list of licensure areas in LICN 001. Some of them are no longer issued by our licensure department, have been retired. We're just looking to remove those or add those where there may be new areas that are not listed. We're also admitting endorsements that are no longer being issued. Endorsements are not issued by the licensure department. Adding meaning of plus plus, which indicates an endorsement. In terms of where endorsements are for a certain area are no longer being issued, we're omitting those endorsements, and we're adding an indication of what that plus plus means, which indicates there's an endorsement area available in that area. And then adding a link to the CTE licensure manual. So CTE has a somewhat separate licensure manual, and that's causing some confusion in the field when folks look to LICN 001 and there may not be CTE requirements, so we're providing that link. In section 1.4, we're moving CTE as an endorsement option. So these are just cleaning up the policy to conform with the current practice, but I'm happy to take any questions on that.
One question, this is Patrick. Do we need to vote on these updates on this slide, or are these just for our information?
So yes, we will bring that back to you next month for a vote for action. Okay. So we'll have those. Dr. Evans, did we provided a strike through policy?
Yes, there is a draft on the agenda. Yes.
So you can see where we've made those changes. Between now and next month, if any of you folks have questions about those, what we're omitting or adding, you can certainly email us and we'll explain.
All right. Questions from the commission members? So Dr. Tomberlin, we will look forward to hearing what potential solutions you and Ms. Schaefer and the legislative liaisons and legislators may uncover between now and our July meeting, and then I assume that at that point in time we will need to take some sort of action in July. Is that correct?
Well, Chair Miller, I would say that if we cannot arrive at a policy policy recommendation in July. We will just have to keep working until we get to that point. We will bring it back for action, but whether or not we can get consensus on a recommendation remains to be seen.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tomlin.
Thank you.
Now the co-chairs of the four subcommittees will provide an update on the pathways to excellence for teaching professionals work, and we will start with prep and entry, and that's Dr. Dempsey and Dr. Weddington.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to present on behalf of Hank and myself, and Hank can fill in any blanks that I miss. We have so far focused on the apprentice slash permit entry point and license one. The way we're approaching the work is we structure our meetings by having people in role-alike discussions. That's the LEA folks and the EPP folks. And so we talk about a particular pathway point within our shared roles, and then after we have unpacked the entry point in role-like groups, then we crisscross and we talk across groups, and then we try to identify the key themes or the key elements of those discussions that we bring out of that particular entry point. Our next meeting, which is June 16th, we're going to focus on license 2. We're also building in a mechanism where as we move through the points of entry, we can circle back to previous points as we learn things that may be helpful to go back and reconsider discussions at earlier points. We're trying to talk about at each one of those points baseline credentials that we would expect a person to have, and then what are the structures that we would need in place to make sure they can be supported professionally at that particular point in the pathway. Hank, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add.
I don't.
Okay.
That's a great summary. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And now licensure. Dr. Wood is not with us, so Dr. Bullock, solo show today.
Hi everybody, this will be super brief. We've been working on learning everything you can learn about micro-credentialing and determining if that is going to be an option for some part of our recommendations. That's all.
All right, thank you. Advancement and development, Dr. Marr and Mrs. Stover.
Good morning. So I'll cover this for Ms. Stover and I. So at our last meeting, we tried to refocus our work back on really focusing on the knowledge and skills that we expect for individuals at each of these different levels. The other piece that we had a really kind of broad-ranging discussion were about the requirements for the apprentice and level 1. And so we'll be able to have conversation perhaps with one of the other subcommittees. You know, I think the concern of advancement and development is really around requirements and limiting individuals' opportunities to enter the profession, right? So having as wide a range as possible of individuals to be able to enter, and so not restricting based on requirements, particularly at the apprentice level and then at level 1. And so we're going to focus more on that when we have our next meeting, as well as focus on the next category, so license 2, and looking very closely at the expectations for knowledge and skills within that particular category, so 2 and 3 in the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Dr. Marr. And then budget and compensation, Dr. Graham and Dr. Fleming.
Good morning. I present on behalf of Dr. Fleming and I in the Budget and Compensation Subcommittee. Our last meeting focused on incentive initiatives, so we were fortunate to have several guest speakers join us: Amy Holcomb, Tricia McManus, Thomas Feller, and Seth Brown, and Brian Hassel. Understanding that the initiatives that we explored were compensation frameworks that helped us think about either how we could build them into a framework or perhaps be supplemental to a framework. Our next meeting will focus a little bit more on some of those states that we might consider exemplars in terms of having a compensation framework that we might want to learn a little bit more about. So very similar to what Ann said, we're trying to learn as much as we can to help shape and inform our thinking. So our next meeting will be June 17th at 1:30 p.m. And that's where we are. Dr. Fleming, anything that I missed, sir? He may have stepped away, but that's our update.
chairs for agreeing to serve as leaders for each of the subcommittees and for those updates. And at this point, is there any further discussion? If not, thank you, commission members, advisors, and staff for your preparation for today's discussions. I remind commission members that our next monthly meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July the 15th, beginning at 9 o'clock. We've now completed our meeting, and unless there's additional business, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.